Welcome, guys, to Metallidium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the band, this new album, and more things related to the metal world. So we will start, I think, with a common question in all interviews that you did promoting this new album. So what were the reasons for the band to take 10 years to present a new production? Because you repeat, I think it's common one. And how does the band feel about this fifth studio album?
Well, the 10-year is well, because of changing members, and we have what was it, 2 years with the COVID, and so it was actually pretty natural for us that unfortunately it took this long, but it is what it is, and it could be better, we know, but it is what it is now, and we're proud of that. We're proud of the product, I think, and if you told us 10 years ago that this album would be made, but you have to wait 10 years, I would have bought that. So, for my opinion, but of course, it would be if it would have been better if it only took like 6 years, but 10 years it is.
Okay. Speak a little about the concerts that were quite successful and on the digital platforms. It was one of the Prophecy Fest this last year, featuring mini band of the Rooster at that time. So how did the idea of participating in this event come about? And this event have the idea to promote to Storm Within for this 2023?
The idea to participate in the festival last year was, of course, that we were signed to Prophecy, and then it was natural for them to book us to participate in the fest. And like doing a showcase of what's to expect and what's to come, and also the possibility to show what we can do live, because I feel that our strength is that we are a live band. Of course, we produce records, but I would say our force is when we play live, because we get out on the other side of the stage, and so yeah, they gave us a possibility to like show us off, and we could show them that what they have signed.
Yep.
Okay. So relating that theme from Prophecy Fest and the success had it with many fans around in social media, especially after a few months, I saw that you were, well, I think the label or you put the entire presentation was available to watch on YouTube, but then you were, I don't know who, but then the whole presentation was well cut off from the YouTube and everything else. So, did you plan to release this concert of the band in some new formats like Blu-ray, DVD, well, etc., this kind of music, or perhaps you will do another live presentation for the 30 years of the existence of the band?
Well, I can answer the first bit. So that wasn't us that took it down, because it was streamed by them, and I think what they did was they noticed that other people had been they recorded the stream and putting it out there for themselves. So they were as it is technically their product, Prophecy product. They made sure that they held the rights for it, because it wasn't their streams that were being put out there on YouTube. It was other people's. It was their personal recordings of it. We do have the video for most of it, as far as we know. We do have but there's a lot of footage, multiple camera angles and all that sort of stuff. So if we were the possibility is there, if we wanted to do anything with it. That's how I think that's how we feel about it right now. We shouldn't say anything else.
Okay. And related to this aspect for the 30 years, because this year the band accomplished 30 years of existence. So perhaps you will do something like live presentation, a memorial concert with all songs from from all albums. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't have anything like particular planned for a 30-year anniversary. We have the Storm Within tour planned that will come, but we don't have like certain shows like a 3-hour show like we did at our 20-year anniversary. We don't have anything like that planned yet, but maybe we can get an excuse because of the corona to like postpone our 30-year anniversary maybe a year or two ahead in the future, and maybe do something special regarding this. We don't know, but I would for sure like to. I would gladly like to do something special for the 30-year anniversary, because it's not every band that accomplish such many years. So, but I'm pretty sure that we figure out something. But to say it will be this year, I would say that will be actually impossible, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's also because our record will come out this year, and we have 30, so it's pick and choose, right? It is what it is.
If everything had come out on time, as we'd expected, we would have been probably talking differently. But as everything was delayed, for many other bands, we're going to concentrate on the new record for now. But who knows? We have talked about it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of logistics, probably.
Okay, nice. Speaking of these 30 years old stuff, Saturnus is one of the best known bands in the doom metal world, and obviously from the Denmark too. So and Julio and Indy entered in 2020 as the new members along both. So what does it feel for both, for Indy and Julio? How does it feel to like the carry of the weight of the guitars of this mythical Danish band? Because maybe you were influenced by Julio, you have your own band like Autumnal, and Autumnal perhaps has a little influence from Saturnus.
Yeah, in fact, Autumnal had a lot of things coming from Saturnus' essence itself. So, well, at first it was a challenge. On one hand, because as you said, Saturnus is a true legacy, and the baggage is how it is. I mean, we have to make some kind of justice to what was done. But at the same time, and that is good, we were good friends. So that wasn't such a challenge, because since the minute one, we were perfectly okay in the band with it. And the guys treated us well, and everything was fine. So it was good. Basically, it was good. It was perfect for me. I don't know, but I can say the same for Indy as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We joined late 2019, and it was just before everything kind of shut down and things got a bit hairy around the world. But we were planning to play a lot of shows, so that's when we joined. We already knew that was where our mindset was. Okay, so we're going to play a bunch of shows, see how that goes, and then we'll start writing. But for us, we already, when everything kind of came to a halt, that was for us a bit of a blessing in disguise, because then we had the chance to actually gel as like writing partners as well. So it worked out, and joining was, like Julio said, it was smooth transition. We'd known each other for so many years, been touring buddies for such a long time, so it was absolutely fine. It was really lovely, and it felt very comfortable.
Well, that was the whole idea of getting these two guys, is that they're the best friends ever. I know Brian and Julio has like the special, really, come visit me and we'll go out drinking and stuff, and we met Indy on the road a lot of years by now, and it was just, when we talked about it, I think it was in December 19, of who could we ask to join if everybody would say yes, who would we like, and these two guys were just on top of the list for everybody, because first of all, of the writing skills. I know Autumnal, I love their albums, and I know Indy has been in Clouds, and I have Solitude, and I know what he can do there, and it was just, for me, it was a natural choice to ask them, and we were lucky they said yes. And then we had one gig, I think, in Belgium.
Pleasure.
and then everybody, everything closed down. I think, was that it, right?
That was basically it in a nutshell.
Late February, right? 20, and then March here in Denmark it closed down, I think. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks to the Prophecy Fest and concert and social media in general, the expectations for this storm within is high amount of many fans, because I have friends who told me from Europe, US, Latin America, that expected this new to hear completely this album. So how does the band handle with these expectations, with the people's comments on social media? And also, how does the band take the bad comments saying that you don't sound like the first albums, like a classical ones. You don't sound like the first albums. You lost the identity and this kind of stuff. How did you deal with this kind of expectations? And I think a lot of overwhelming receive because I did my pre-order by the way from this new album.
Thank you. Awesome.
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know about the.
It's
Yeah,
so,
you go,
it's
Thomas.
so much in that little that
Yeah.
package, isn't there?
yeah, but
Go on, Thomas.
shall I go for it?
Yeah, go. Start it off.
Yeah, I would like to separate I would like to like separate it in two answers. The first answer is first of all, we create music for what we like.
Mm.
It's for ourselves, and it sounds like selfish and like a big ego. But first of all, it's that it's for ourselves because and most important of that, when that is said, that is important that we are fan of our own music. So if we are fan of our own music and can listen to it again in 10 years with the same joy as the day we got the album done, then mission is accomplished. And and with saying that, we don't care about what people say. But part number two, of course, there is a big pressure on us, and we can feel it. And I would lie if I say that I would say I'm a little afraid because you don't know what to expect from the people, because we all wish for that people will take good receive the album good. Yep. Because that will make it all much easier for the continuation of our career to make a good album and not a bad album, because then more doors will open up, of course. So of course I think everybody's a little like afraid, but also how can I say, like looking forward for Christmas Eve also. Yeah. And everybody is like looking very much forward for it, because we cannot wait to get it out, because there's been so many obstacles on the way for releasing this album, with Corona and the new lineup and all those things together. So yeah, it's minus and plus, so to say, so to speak. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just about.
But I don't know about you guys, but personally, I don't really read those comments, because, as Thomas said, I'm a fan of Saturnus, and I think the album we have made is the best one we ever made, in my opinion. Straight up, no doubt about that. And of course, it's going to be a little bit different than Paradise or Mature. It's 30 years after. New people in the band, like there's two people from that period only. So I will say, of course, it's a little bit different, but I think it's as good as we can do it, in my opinion. I think it's very good. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, but you can also say that we have done all the things that we normally do. Like we have those really well composed melody lines. We have the solos. We have the spoken parts. We have the ballad, like All Alone, and we have all those trademarks we have on all the other albums. Of course, this album don't sound like Paradise Belongs to You, and it doesn't sound like Martyr, but it's still us, because we have all those ingredients like we had on Paradise Belongs to You and all the other albums. So if people say, oh, we don't sound like blah 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 blah, no, but it's also a career spanning over 30 years. So we cannot like get stuck in the past. We need to move forward, but we still have all those trademarks that defines Saturnus.
I think the best way to describe it is that it sounds like Saturnus now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could actually have said it that short, but then it would not be a good answer for an interview.
Yours is better. I just thought, I have to talk, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking a little more about this album, can we say that the composition process started in the pandemic, or perhaps maybe what it was before? Because as Indy and Julio entered during the pandemic times, and at what point does also you Thomas and Brian enter to the composition process, because you and Brian are the last members for the remainder for the first lineup in the 90s. So and for Indy and for Julio, how did you adapt to the sound of Saturnus to take the reins of this band and keep their sound into the guitars? As you told me, it's very challenging to enter to this mythic band.
Yeah. But I would, to be honest, we didn't actually do that much, because Indy and Julio actually catch the spirit of the band already from the beginning. Of course, we have been talking about how the songs, when they were in the composing time for each song, we of course discussed everything, and can you try to do this and that? And then everybody tried to do this and that, and we listened to it again for 1 week later, and blah blah blah, all those things. So we kind of pointed them in the right direction, but that was actually not necessary, because they knew what they had to do from the beginning. So it has been really easy, this process for me and Brian. So when you mention us, to incorporate Julio and Indy to the band and to understand what it's all about, because they knew it from the beginning. So there's not any special recipe for it, because they did it by themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, into this aspect, so how does the band avoid to repeating yourself with your sound, but at the same time always pushing new things in the sound achieved, because this new album has a little more things compared to the previous ones? So, or maybe you think better to say with the rhythmic concept of the band to have a winning formula for the public, because you told me, Thomas, that you don't think about the public or the opinion of the public, but in aspects of the fan, always the fan consume the music, buy the CDs, because the fans, the bands is well known around the world. I had old discography on CDs. As I said, I did my pre-order. The fans always expected the sound, but some people expect the sound, but at the same time, persons like me spends different kind of music in your sound. So how do you avoid to sound like the same, but at the same time push the boundaries into the music in Saturnus?
I think it's natural, actually, just because that, as we all said, that it just came natural for Indy and Julio in the writing process, and I don't think we think about this repeating ourselves. I just do, as Thomas said, I just think we write music that we really like, and if the sound of the guitars or whatever is not that good, well, in this 2023, you can just do a little bit of change and it's different, but I don't think we ever been there where we pointed that, okay, the guitar is off, you have to have another guitar sound. It was just spot on. It was actually one of the first thing I remember about the pre-recordings was Indy's new guitar sound. And I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. And then it got a little bit technical where he explained to me, oh, this board can do this, and I can send it to Julio, and everything is cool. And so I don't think we're afraid of repeating, because if we wrote along 2, we would never do that. But you know what I mean? That it's not a plan that we have. But if something comes up that it makes sense, then I don't think that's.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Go.
There has not been any particular plan to say that we need 2 up-tempo songs and 4 doomy songs and 1 ballad. It has just been what we felt like in the writing process. But for just to rewind time back to when Veronica was written, what we decided back then was to not continuing the development of the Martyr album, but go back to the old days. And so the plan with the Veronica was to go back to the Paradise era, but of course not in 1996, but how it sounded like in 2006. So we wanted to create something that was more simple and more doomish and more old school. And I think we accomplished that really good. And in the Saturn and Ascension, we just decided, okay, not decided, but we like aimed for just to do a continuation of the Veronica Decides to Die, and do what we felt like in that period. And it's actually the same with the Storm Within. It's just a natural development continuation of Saturn and Ascension. So yeah, there's no like how can I say, triangle we need to be in. Yeah, we don't have a checklist in that. I would say the checklist is maybe in the trademarks I've mentioned before, like with the solos and the melody lines and the ballad and up-tempo songs.
Yeah,
we have all those things we need on an album.
I can probably comment a bit about the compositional side of stuff. Whereas sound-wise, I think whereas we knew what Saturnus before it sounded like, and I in my head had already this idea of okay, and I was how about we try and push it a bit further this time, make it sound a bit more grand, a bit more wider, a bit more, you know, heavy in a way, but not just heavy as in guitars, but heavy in textures, and you know, really have it something that when you listen to it, you go, oh wow, okay, it sounds fresh, but it still sounds the same, if that makes sense. It comes from the same. It comes from the same thread, but it's a different, you know, it's a different piece of clothing. Whatever. It's basically it's come from the same soul. It's come from the same soul, the same heart, but it definitely has a new approach because obviously there's new people. But then I think with us coming along, me and Julio, and then also Mika coming back into the fold, it allowed everyone to have that breath of, you know, that new life basically into the band, and everyone got in the same kind of understanding. So there was no thinking of, well, let's repeat this or let's not do this. It was just like, okay, whatever comes out, and if it sounds good, it sounds like us, sounds like Saturnus, we keep it and we move forward. We're not going to have when there's no filler, only anything that we truly think belongs on the record stays, and that was it. Because there was a lot of stuff that we chucked away because we were like, no, it's not right for this record.
We were us pretty lucky that in a way that COVID hit, because then we had a long time to write this and be judgmental of our own work, and not just pace it and just say, okay, we need 4 songs at the end of Monday because they have to be recorded on Tuesday and blah blah blah. So we have a lot of time to play around with stuff. As Indy said, we have a lot of stuff we haven't recorded yet that could actually just be a side B, actually, in my opinion. But you never know what's going to happen with those riffs or chunks or whatever. And even though when the album was not really done but almost done, you know, Mika came in and he said, well, I have, by the way, guys, I have this kind of chords riffs thing is. And then everybody was like, God, it's gotta go on the record. It's too good, because it's the spirit is still there. Like I don't know how to explain it, because I never thought about it in that way, that we are afraid of being ourselves. It sounds a little bit weird to me because we are ourselves. It's you know, yeah. I'd rather be myself than trying to be someone else. But you know. But that was the long answer, I think.
Really, that was a really long answer.
Okay.
But that's good.
The thing that always stood out to me about Saturnus is what in many ways you are, since the beginning to now, you are using elements for the funeral doom scene. Elements because of long tempos, super dense riffs, and many spoken or narrated parts that you did. So, but at the same time, I always saw that from the beginning to the band, a lot of reviewers, fans, they put you the label that doom. So I don't know why, because you only use the guttural voices into the music, no death metal riffs, no cannibal chorus, no DSI, no etc. death metal from Florida, Swedish or etc. No, this is more doom metal for me. So and I think this approach from the 90s to now is very wrong, because when a band puts guttural voices, then the media told that doom, black doom, just for the guttural voice. I don't know why, because you can put a lot of music guttural. It's not necessary to be a death metal band. So what do you think about this label that the band has since the 90s, death doom metal band? And what can we say about the funeral elements in your music have influence? Perhaps did you take influence from the first wave, from the funeral dance, like Tergotom, like skepticism, winter, etc., etc., or perhaps do you have something a different approach from the funeral elements in your music?
But yes and no.
It's a short answer.
yeah. But I would to answer the question about influence from the funeral doom, I would say if we look back back in time, I would say no. But if you like look at it now, I would say yes. Because when we started, funeral doom was not that big, and it was really sub genre. And today it's has become very much bigger. So and therefore I would say back then no, but now yes. And regarding the label we have that we are Death Doom, I would say yes to that, and I would say we still are. But I would say the mark Death is only for the vocals. It's not. It has not anything to do with the music, because if you like mute my vocals, it would be doom metal. So, and if I would sing with a clean voice all the time, like real singing, then it would be epic doom.
Epic doom metal,
yeah. So the trademark for Death is the vocals, and doom is for the music. But if you ask me, I think regarding no matter what you play, if you play black doom, funeral doom, speed metal, death metal, whatever, we all play heavy metal. So
yes.
Basically, yes. But if we shall categorize anything which is real modern nowadays, to like we have all those weird genres now, and we are a death doom band. Yeah,
we're proud of it.
Yeah.
People like to put labels on things, and that's how that happened.
Yeah.
That's basically how it happened.
Yeah. But for me, we all play metal.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's funny you say that, Thomas. But if you mute your vocals, will be doom, because for me, doom is not really how you play your instrument. It what the whole package is when it comes out. Because if you mute everybody except the guitars, is it still doom? You know. Now I'm getting a little bit philosophic here, but it was just a fun observation, actually. That could be a song, by the way.
Yeah, we
write it down.
Write it down.
I'm gonna write some inspiration. Cool.
Yeah. Next album, we're gonna make a side A and a side B, and the side A will be Death Doom, and side B will be the same song, just Epic Doom.
Yeah.
Different vocal line.
Go through all the.
And then one album just Death on one side, and then Doom on the other side. Just fill it out.
That's not a bad idea.
just to finish the question off, like inspiration back in the days in the 90s, it was for sure Paradise Lost, like I would say the three Musketeers from England, like Paradise Lost and Anathema and My Dying Bride. That is definitely the biggest inspiration in the beginning of our career. And of course there were bands like Theatre of Tragedy, The Third and Immortal, and Celestial Season as well from Holland. So yeah, it's bands like that.
Yeah, okay, but it's a curious thing that you say, Thomas, because I spoke 3 years ago with Andrew from My Dying Bride, and he told me that he never played the Doom, just played Doom with guttural voice. He told me that, by the way.
Yeah.
just for an info.
Yeah. But I totally understand him, and also I hate all those trademarks to put on things. Because at the end of the line, we all play metal. So I actually agree with him, but I would also say he's wrong.
Okay.
Because I would say if you look at the As the Flowers Withers album, I would call it more a death metal album than a doom metal album. And so actually only Sear Me that it's a real doom song on that album. Yeah. And then Turn Loose the Swans come, and then they become real doom.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of one of the tales mentioned in the previous question, Saturnus has always had narrated voices or spoken voices since Paradise Belongs to You. Where I don't know if it's I'm the only one to perceive this, because I always see a theme like sentimental loss for a person since the beginning to now. Perhaps into the lyrics. So, and at the same time, I think that the narrator, the spoken parts, are taken from the books. Perhaps, who knows? And can we relate the whole concept of the letters of the lyrics, sorry, of the lyrics of Saturnus related with the personal aspect, especially for the loss, memory loss, family, friends, etc. Or perhaps are you are you using books to relate these kind of parts, or who knows, because as you can see, titles like Paradise Belongs to You is especially for one person. Veronica Decides to Die is for the one person. Veronica's into there, or who knows, Saturn in Ascension. If I try to relate the Saturn aspect, it's obviously from dedicated from a person, and even this new album Storm Within is related for the book and a person, because who knows.
I would say, in general, all the lyrics are personal lyrics, and they are not about. For example, Veronica Decides to Die is not for Veronica. It's like the title was actually inspired by the book Veronica Decides to Die, but it has nothing to do with the book. Lyric-wise, it has nothing to do with the book. But we normally say the concept of the book, you can relate that to the lyrics, because it's like in the same vibe as it. And I normally say Veronica Decides to Die album is soundtrack to the book Veronica Decides to Die, but do not compare it to each other. Just listen to the music and read the book.
Okay.
Yeah, the themes are the same.
Yeah.
Or,
And but otherwise, all the songs are many of them is like personal experiences, or like views on the world. Christ Goodbye, for an example, is like the black is taking over the white, like not in skin color, but in darkness taking over. The world is getting more evil, and but just said in an artistic way with the religious figures, instead of saying directly the devil or whatever. Yeah.
But that's also what the lyrics can do, right? That can mean something to you and something else for another person, and that's what lyrics should do, in my opinion. That they should appeal to a broad audience, and not just, right, you are going on a path and it's brown. You can choose your own path, you can choose your own color of the path or whatever, but you're still, this is the picture we want to pick. You're here, and it, like the song "The Paradise Belongs to You" song. The end of it, when it's just "Paradise belongs to you," and you can relate to it as, I don't know, like maybe as many people that lives on the planet, that this is where I am right now when paradise belongs to me. And of course we have this forest sounds and birds, but it's the lyrics has to be a wide appeal, in my opinion. So Thomas can relate to it, Mika and I can, Indy, and then of course we hope the audience will also, because as Thomas said in the beginning, we are the fans. We are the biggest fans of our own band, actually, and that's what I think that we are, in a way, because that's why we do this, in a way.
Yeah.
So and we wrote a song a couple of years ago called Thorns, and it was about this girl we knew who had a web magazine or something, and then we were told she was in a coma, and her mom took over this page, and it was like, Jesus, what a horrible story. And then we wrote this Thorns with the, she was in a coma, and then Aurora came in, the whole fairy tale story of Aurora, that
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty slept for 100 years and all that, and so, but it could also be something else if you hear it. But that was the main focus of the song at that point, but nobody actually knew that.
So,
Javier, did you ask anything about the spoken words, or I didn't get
the spoken
part?
word? Yeah. Well, the spoken word was like always. I think it was taken from a book. But
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like the lyrics was taken from the book, or
yes. Well, no, perhaps for personal experience and related with the books. It's normal to mix both.
I wouldn't say we use books for the only time we use books.
We have used some lines.
There is poetry woven in here and there, so maybe that's what you're going for. it's we haven't taken books and taken the themes out of the books and just gone, okay, well, no, or followed the story and made concept album that way. I don't think that's what
Okay.
it's meant to be. But there are definitely elements of poetry that we've gone, that sounds beautiful, and it relates to what we're talking about in the song in general.
Yeah.
So we might take it and use it. You know,
It's also,
in a
There's some
small
lines from William Blake as well.
Yeah.
it's also a contribution to the great poets that Edgar Allan
keep it
Poe,
alive.
like the poem Ravens, for example, of Edgar Allan Poe. It was just a clash. Well, when we wrote Saturn in Ascension, and I can't even remember the name of the song, but something with Raven Moon or something like that.
Call of the Raven.
Call of the Raven Moon. Yeah, it was like, okay, we're just in Edgar Allan Poe's mind right now with this poet. Can we use it? Can we take some elements of it and pull it out and make it our own and be inspired by it? And I think that's more how we use books or poetry in a way. Yeah. But it's self-written. Everything is self-written, and when whoever wrote lyrics will, send it to Thomas, and he will say, oh, this is good, this is not good, and can we do this and can we do that, and then it just fall into place when Thomas record the voices, because we don't actually even know what part he wants to use as spoken words in the beginning. It just comes naturally, I think, because of the development of the song and the vibe and the volume and all that dynamics and all that. So comes natural.
Okay.
So in case you feel curious, just let me tell you something, because there is a Spanish guy living now in Denmark, and he was the very first bass player in Autumnal, and he's called Arturo Mora. I will send you the name, and he's done his PhD thesis in Denmark, and it's called Poetry in English and Heavy Metal Music. And bands like Saturnus are part of the PhD paper. So it's really curious.
Oh, very,
so
very
someone
curious.
else is thinking about things.
But it's a great, information. It's a great information for a metalhead like me. It's a great information.
I will send the name of the paper and the guys so that you can talk to him.
Okay, nice. Okay. So one question that is going to directly to the Thomas, and because you are one of the last members into this meeting, and from the Saturnus from the beginning, and why? Well, for me, it's curious because Europe is very different from South America, from Latin America in general. Because to start a band here, delays, and in the 80s and 90s, delays for one album, delays 10, 20 years to release, because at that time in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a better studios, etc. This kind of stuff. But it's curious that Saturnus create as 1991, like the name Asesino for the first time in Spanish, by the way, with the Spanish Asesino. But then you change in 1992 to Saturnus. But 4 years later, you release your first album. Even if we take the first time in 1991, the band formed by Asesino, you take 6 years to release the first album. It's a curious thing in the 90s, because Digmar always has a good products in the death metal scene, in the black metal scenes, because the band forms 1 year, 2 years, and then the band released an album in EP in the 90s in Europe. But I'm curious to know, so why the band take 6 years to release your first album, and why the band changed from Asesino to Saturnus? There is perhaps a well-known motive, because in English it's murder, no? Asesino.
Yeah, I know. I can tell just to do the story about the band name Asesino short. My old first girlfriend was half Spanish and half Danish, and we wanted we created a death metal band, not me and the girlfriend, but me and Brian and some other guys, and we needed a name, and I think we were kind of focused on the Spanish language, and we needed. I said to her in a fun way, "How do you say Slayer in Spanish?" And she said Asesino. I said, "Oh, that's the name." So it was like more a coincidence. Yeah. And and we played death metal. We played pure death metal. It has nothing to do with doom metal at all. And then and then slowly we opened our eyes into the slow parts of that time's death metal bands like Entombed and especially Unleashed. Unleashed actually showed us the way in like opening our eyes more into like the slower stuff. And then we slowly discovered bands like My Dying Bride and Anathema and all those we have talked about before. And and then we decided to like, okay, we cannot name our band Slayer and play death metal, doom metal. So that was actually the reason why we changed the name, because the guys that were in Assassino, they followed over in Saturnus, and that in that back in the days. So actually we changed the name because we wanted to change the style, and then we got a supporting job for My Dying Bride as well. And when we got that supporting show, we have the music we have created in that period was more death metal, but with doom influences, like Unleashed is. Like they play death metal, but they have really many slow parts, and we had that back in the days with Saturnus as well. But the show with My Dying Bride, it was actually on the Angel and the Dark River tour. They did something to us. They hit us in our hearts, and then we canceled all our back catalog and started all over again.
No.
So that is the reason why it took that long, because it has actually not taken that long. If you know the history, why? Because if you look at those 6 years, we have we have started a band, we have changed the band name, created a style, erased the style, started all over again, and then released an album. So, and yeah, no, not an end, but that is the short version. No, it was the long version, but yeah, but that's the reason. That's the reason. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we're very close to finishing this interview, guys. And for that, what are the future plans that the band has for this new album? Tours in Europe, in US, perhaps or perhaps you will come to Latin America, because a lot of well-known bands are released. Came to Latin America or Mexico in special. Festivals like Heaven and Hell, Mexico Metal Fair, or who knows, perhaps Brazil. Who knows, really.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
that's the best way of putting it. There's lots of plans in the works. We're obviously going to have to go. We're getting ready to promote the new album, so that's basically what's happening. So, when it hits, we're playing a show on the day. So it's really lucky that we're playing that. And then we have multiple sections of the Storm Within tour coming up. And that will go through, it will obviously go through mainland Europe and Eastern Central Europe, all that sort of stuff. But then there are plans to go to other countries and see where we can reach out. But the thing is that we can't announce anything just yet because it's not solidified. But we're working on it for sure.
It's
big plans. Big plans ahead.
Okay. Well, talking about other topics, and one of the last questions is, during the restrictions to the pandemic, we were discussing the options that the bands were using to keep in touch with fans, like streaming shows, and now that everything is back to normal, so tours, festival, etc. So we have a real concert backs again. But recently, artificial intelligence is becoming more and more accessible to a people, and discussion is about its impact in different aspects in our lives. So including art and music is normal. So what is your perspective about this issue? Do you see yourself using to make a cover art, for example, in the future, or even asking to AI to compose something for you? Because now this is the subject nowadays.
Let me just take this one because I'm pretty obsessed with the future of the human race because of this thing.
Yeah.
So, probably in a year we won't be talking about this. Who knows? But but if we do music, it's just because we enjoy doing it. I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense to ask to an artificial entity to, hey, do something for me. No. I'll do it myself because that's part of the process. That's part of my path, right? But yeah, people nowadays are composing with artificial intelligence, but right now it's a problem because it's not working how we expect. But he's learning. This is it's learning more and more. So let's see where we are in just a year. But from my subjective personal point of view, I would switch that off. It's like, no, we have to keep on thinking. We have to keep on creating because that is part of the path we must follow. Because you have to enjoy, not just to, okay, this is done, another record, bring me the money. Okay, that's right, but no, that's not the essence, basically.
It's a lifestyle. I would say it's a lifestyle. Because I've always said that when I go on stage, the day I'm not nervous anymore, just a little bit, that's the last show I'm gonna play. Because if you don't have this feeling in your body that now it's time for you to go up there and perform and be a little nervous, even though if there is 5 people or 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. It's not the amount of people, but it's the feeling you have in your body that you need to perform for some and have these butterflies in your stomach. The days they are not there, I'm done. So that's the path Julio is talking about, like thinking, creating, all those things together. I don't know, it has nothing to do about robots and creating music, but yeah. But it's just the way for me to say that needs to be humans behind the music.
Okay. Thanks for this answer. So, and one of the last questions, because I'm very curious about one project about Julio. It's going to directly to Julio because Julio, I really love. Henrik told us that he loves autumnal. I love autumnal too. I had both records. I have both records on CD. So, but I think last year, some people released Where Eagles Fly Cloudy Skies on the Facebook, saying that is one of the last songs of the band. We are in stop phase. Well, we are in a stop era of the band. A lot of problems into there. So perhaps someday we'll see a new album from Autumnal, or perhaps you are dedicated now more with Saturnus because Saturnus is more bigger than Autumnal.
It's not a matter of size, but just of where I belong to. I mean, now, and I think that in the future, I will always belong to Saturnus because he's where I have found the way, like the Mandalorian. Okay, this is right? No, but it is nothing wrong about Autumnal, but it's just that somehow Autumnal at first dissolved in time, and that song that we released that year had been recorded by Oscar, the other guitar player, time ago. And we just decided to release it because it was a good way of letting it go. Okay. For the time being, the band is resting, and the band will be resting for a long time because there are a lot of personal issues, not bad issues, but personal issues related to family, sons, the way of understanding how a band should work. Playing live, not playing live, recording ourselves, recording under a label scope, many different points of view that basically we are not meeting together. So Saturnus is my home now, is where my heart is now, and is where I want to focus working. But this doesn't mean that Autumnal is over, because Autumnal will stay in my heart forever. Because somehow it was one of the biggest things in my life ever. And in fact, it's one of the reasons for me to be here now. Without that tour in 2015 with these guys, I'm sure I wouldn't be here. So it's good. Okay. By the way, if you need any, you said that you had some questions in Spanish. You can make them. I mean, it's if you want. Okay.
No. That's all. That's all. Because the interview is related to Saturnus. So if someday you will return with autumn, I will ask you about this return of autumn. Don't worry. There is plenty of time to do this.
Hey.
So, well, guys, the sad times or the sad moment arrived at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like me, you are terrific guys. I really love this interview because all of you are participating in answers. So that's a great interview for me. I really love this new album. 11 years pass very fast, but fans like me, I'm still listening to your music. As I said, I have all CDs from you and all full albums. Now I did my pre-order. Love this new album, and perhaps maybe you have something to add to your Latin American fans that expect some full tours on Saturnus, because Saturnus is a well-known band here. Saturnus is very well-known band here in Latin America, and followers on Metalerium.
What can we say? What can we say? We can say some. We cannot say it all, but we can say that next year will be a good year for everybody, and we can say that we are trying.
Yeah, I already said we're working on it.
It works.
Yeah, we're working on it. Let's see what. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
So you said before that after COVID and lockdown, everything went to normal. That everything is harder than ever. So now, right now, for the music, it's carnage all the fucking time. Everything is expensive. Everything is more difficult, and yeah, I mean we're at works. We're in the works, but it's really difficult to align everything.
It takes a lot more planning than it used to before, in terms of because before you could think about okay, this is generally the price of what Nightliner is going to cost, or flights, or blah 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 blah, and then rental and whatever, the logistical stuff. And then you would go, okay, dates, and is everyone in, and do we have venues? Now we have to think about, okay, now how much has everything gone up? How many bands are on tour at the same time as one of us? Is there transport available? Because it's all become so scarce, because when the gates opened, everyone came charging through at the same time and wanted the same space. So we're all competing, and it's not in a negative way. That it's just that there's only so much space, there's only so many bands, there's only so many venues, there's only so much transport, and that's the reason why I think things have become so much more difficult. But we're working on it. We're working on it.
I don't think it's becoming more difficult. I think it's becoming more of a chance of, like, say, promoters and people who do festivals, who do stuff that they can't afford to have a bad year after COVID.
Yeah.
So what I see is that a lot of places will say, okay, this was the run, we are done, we're not going to do anymore. And then I see a lot of places just keep going because they know probably that they're gonna be successful in some way, and then they will survive if they get that. If they get that successful festival this year, then they can do it again this year. And hopefully that's what venues say and promoters say, and will book and blah blah blah. But you never know. You never know.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry for my short.
Yeah, we took it somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it, because if we spoke about this aspect, I spoke last year with Christopher from Tyrion and from Devin 1000. I spoke, and both are complaining about this aspect. The logistic area are too high, it's expensive to do tours now. As in Europe or US. Latin America is very different, because for the economic area is very different for you, because you have the euro. The euro is more priceless than the coins here. It's very different, the situation. So it's very different. So well guys, I know everything that you said. So thanks for this interview. And if we relate to go into the other aspects, perhaps you want to add to yourself to add to something Latin American fans.
We love you.
Gracias por la entrevista y os queremos mucho. Desde Saturnus, desde el corazón, os queremos y estaremos por allí pronto.
Sí.
See what he said.
Quiero mucho.
Quiero mucho. Sí, 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 sí.
Bueno,
Me
okay.
cago en Dios, te quiero de mucho.
Thomas, don't curse like that.
That's not the best thing to be saying online, I think.
It doesn't
At least
mean the
I'm
same
trying.
in
At least
Spain
I'm
than in
trying.
Mexico. Yeah.
Okay.